Hi, thanks for tuning in to our daily inspiration again. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to be here with us. And hopefully you'll be edified with what we've put together for you here. Now for this video, we are going to take a little dive into what happened in the book of Genesis. As we have been told before, that Lucifer knew with his infused knowledge that the Son of God would become a human and not an angel. And this was why the rebellion of the angels occurred, that these fallen angels could not accept God's plan because they see that the humans are inferior compared to them, the angels. But as Father Joseph Iannuzzi also explained here, where he cited approved prophetic literature and from various other writings that bear the seals of approval from the Catholic Church, which you can definitely look up yourself if you want to, that Adam also knew about God's plan. Anyway, let me share with you the clip of Father Iannuzzi explaining it to you.
And Adam was aware of this. Adam knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that Jesus was to come to earth, the Son of God. He may not have known his name was to be Jesus. There's no evidence that he knew that. Maybe he did, but we can only speculate. But we know for sure that this plan of the Son of God, the Logos, in which is a Greek term, Logos spermatikoi is like the word of God that proceeds from the Father, was to come to earth and become incarnate, to become the head of the human race. While there was no original sin, Adam was aware that Christ would come to earth. Now we call him Christ. Maybe Adam called him the Logos, or the Son of God. But the point is that Adam was aware that the second person of the Trinity was to assume his human nature. Now how do we know this, that Adam knew this? From approved prophetic literature and from some of the writings of the Church Fathers. We know that Lucifer knew this for sure. In fact, St. John taught this to Irenaeus, and Irenaeus taught this, that Lucifer was given by infused knowledge in heaven, foresight that the Son of God would become a human and not an angel. And Lucifer, well aware that angels are far superior to humans in intellectual prowess, would not follow God's plan. He would not serve God's plan. And for that reason, there was a war in heaven, where God allowed an inferior angel to Lucifer, about 5 ranks lower than Lucifer, to defeat him, namely Saint Michael. And Saint Michael, therefore, according to the writings of Anne Catherine Emmerich, along with the other angels, took the places of these angels who had fallen. Well, do you suppose that Lucifer in the Garden of Eden did not suggest something like this to Adam or Eve? We don't know. But we do know that Adam had infused knowledge. And we know from Genesis chapter 2, verse 16, that God told Adam, not Eve, but Adam, that if he partook of this forbidden fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, he would certainly die. There was no question about it. God used the adjective certainly die. There's no two ways about it. And yet, they bought Satan's sales pitch. What did Satan say to Adam? If you partake of this fruit, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God. Well, silly Adam perhaps failed to acknowledge that he was already like God. That's what Adam means, who is like God. Well, Michael means who is like God. That's the word Michael, Michael. And the answer is Adam. Adam means like God. From the earth, but it also is understood as unto God, or like God. This is the equivocal meaning in the Hebrew and theologically. So Adam knew that he was a prince of this world, and that he was supposed to eventually hand the reins over to the king when the king came. And that king is Christ. That's the word he goes by when he returns in Revelation, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And remember what Jesus told Adam and Eve to do until he came? He didn't say until I came, but he implied that when he said this: fill the earth and be its steward, be its keeper, take good care of it. Why did God say fill the earth? Because that means that the earth has a terminus. Once the earth would be filled with little Adams and little Eves, then what would happen? Then Christ would come. So Adam had that knowledge already. That's why he was given that statement, fill the earth, because there was a purpose for filling it, and that purpose led to Christ's return.
Anyway, for the second part of this video, I would like to share something from Father Vincent. When he was asked this question, if God is perfect and needs nothing from us, then why would he demand a human sacrifice to pay for human sins? Isn't the very definition of forgiveness not to ask for a payment? And here's his answer. If the sacrifice of Jesus were merely a human sacrifice, it wouldn't have meant much. But Jesus was not just a man. He redeemed us as God. We have to think outside of the box here, the human box. We are inclined to think that eating a piece of fruit is not all that bad. But the sin of Adam was a sin against an infinitely good God. God is not just a bigger version of us, so the sin was a great offense. Nevertheless, Jesus could have simply willed our redemption and all would have been fine. He is God after all. While it was the Father's will that Jesus suffer and die for us, Jesus concurred with him. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. He chose to suffer and die to show us something of what his infinite love means. Since we have no experience of anything infinite in our lives, the word infinite is just an abstraction. But the death of God on a cross is no abstraction. Good Friday demonstrates for us something of how unfathomable his love is. That God would choose to undergo such an experience on our behalf shows us how beyond the range of our feeble intellects his love actually is. Forgiveness is not to ask for payment. We could never pay him for such love. And now, before we get to the end of this video, I would also like to share this clip from Father Daniel Reehil.
And, when people tell me that they don't like Jesus, just instinctually, I have to ask why. What is it that you've heard about him that makes you not like him? And they really can't answer the question. I've never had anybody give me a good answer. Most of them don't know. They just say, well, look at all the harm religion has caused in the world. I go, first of all, that's not Jesus. Those are people that are committing, maybe religious wars on other people, but that's not him. What's your issue with him? And they can't tell you. And then if you actually look at his life and what he did and what he gave us, and he continues to give, he continues to wait for us in the tabernacle. I really don't understand it. I don't understand how people could be angry with him when all he ever did was love us, and, our lives are not perfect, but they were never meant to be perfect in the way the world is now. Once sin came in, that removes all options for perfection in this life. But you can still find peace and joy and hope, despite whatever we're living through and dealing with. And I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I would start with trying to educate him on why it would be a good thing to come back to church. And particularly in the days we live, just put up a page on the internet, Drudge Report or any of the other news sites, and it's a mess. The world is in a mess. And, every day we could wake up and everything could be changed. Again, it's that precarious right now. Hope it helped, but I mean, it's pretty basic. We want to go and thank the Creator for giving us life and for rescuing us from the bondage to Satan.
Well then, that will be all for the video this time. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. And hopefully through this short video, you have learned a lot more about our faith as a whole. And remember, if there's any feedback or suggestion, please do let me know in the comments below. And until the next one, stay safe, stay healthy, and may God bless you.